What's up? It's Naya. I am back with another review for Real Housewives of Potomac. So there was a lot that went on in this episode, so let's unpack all the good parts. All right, so it started off with Wendy talking to her husband about the whole situation in Williamsburg with the girls. Not really the girls, really Giselle and Ashley and huger'robyn. You know, basically saying, Wendy, we saw in the blogs that your husband is cheating on you, and they decided to share that on camera. Wendy wasn't having it. She didn't like that the girls decided to talk about that on camera or whatever. She felt like, you know, if you're my friend, you can talk to me outside of the show about this if you really cared about me. So she didn't appreciate it. So Wendy told her husband about it, what happened on the trip, and how she got into a whole thing with Giselle and Robyn and Ashley. And you know, of course he said, you know, that's not his life. He's not cheating on her. What else do we expect him to say? You know, I personally don't believe the rumor at all. So he defended himself, and Wendy's like, you know, Giselle is breaking up marriages, trying to tear down families, and those ladies are basically haters, and they'll never know what it's like to have, you know, a nice healthy marriage and all that. So she basically had a little crying session, and it's just interesting to see how Wendy was all team Giselle, team Robyn last season. She was not here for Monique or anything like that. And now you're Giselle started this season. So it's very interesting how things flip. They needed a new target to start drama with, and they chose you, honey. And it's just real sad to see, but not surprising at the same time. Not freaking surprising. So now the two who didn't really like each other, Karen and Wendy last season, you know, now they're kind of like buddying up, because who is Wendy gonna run to? You know what I mean? Ashley basically chose sides. You know, Candace is a different Candace this season, because she doesn't really have drama with anybody. I guess she decided to just focus more on the drama with her and her husband and not really get into it with anybody this season, from getting like dogged out last season because everybody was Team Monique. But well, then we get the little clip of Giselle and Robyn doing their podcast. I'm glad that they like admitted that they didn't know what they were doing, because it just makes it more relatable. You know, like when you just come up with an idea, you don't really know what you're doing, but you're going with it, you're winging it, and hopefully it does well. You know, and they were talking about like their husbands, infidelity and stuff like that. And Robyn, you know, was just more open. Like she never saw she never saw Giselle and geez, what the heck is her husband's name? Jamal. She never saw Giselle and Jamal together when they were back rekindling. She didn't think that they would be together, and she's not surprised that they broke up. So, and Robyn is her good friend, and she's saying that. So you know it was bad. So then it's like, Giselle, was it for a storyline? Was it for a storyline? Did you know he was kind of out here doing his own thing? Was it for the cameras? Please. Because if Robyn didn't expect y'all to get back together, and you claim you was together, Robyn ain't never seen y'all together. Was y'all really together? That's all. That's all we trying to find out, okay? Now, Candace goes back and she tells her husband what Giselle said at Williamsburg during the girls' trip, that, you know, is he riding your coattails? And Candace's husband got to defend himself and say, hey, when I started my restaurant, you know, I had you in there working as a hostess to support me because I didn't have enough staff. Like, a lot of people don't know our business. And that's like a really good point to make, because a lot of outsiders will swear up and down like they know your relationship, and like they know what's best for you and your partner, when they have no idea what goes on between you and your partner, and the sacrifices you make for your partner and with your partner to make you two as a whole succeed. So I was glad that Chris kind of stood up for himself and kind of like shared that, because I was like, wow, I didn't know Candace was a hostess at his restaurant to help him out. It kind of makes sense now why he's taking a step into trying to help her manage what she has going on, because she did something very important for him to help his business grow. So that totally makes sense or whatever. But, you know, I'm just going to skip to it since we're on Candace and her husband. When they went and had lunch, that scene was very frustrating to watch because, you know, Candace is talking about how she's preparing for her music video, putting a lot of time and effort into it. And apparently, like, she really wants Chris to be there for all of her gigs and everything that she's doing for her career. And they played like some clips back of Chris not being there when I think she had got some acting role, him not being there at the studio session time. I think there was one other thing he wasn't at. And now he's saying he's not going to really be there for the music video. I guess like 2 scenes he's not going to be there. And some people who are around Candace, who are like a part of her music industry group of people, are noticing that Chris is not there when she's having certain things going on for her career. And as a manager, I have to say, I'm not in the music industry, but if I had a manager, I would expect that my manager would be there all the time to kind of oversee how everything is going. But their situation's different. Chris has no experience in this, number one. But he's your husband. Husbands want to help you out with whatever you're doing. But at the same time, he's being your manager, your husband, and he's doing, I guess, cooking classes and stuff like that. So he still has his own thing going on. Plus, he's going to want to do his own personal time things. In a manager job, I feel like if you're a manager for an artist, like, your life is surrounded by them 24/7. Like, you sacrifice a lot to make sure that that person succeeds. And I just don't think Chris has the time for it. I'm not saying he doesn't care to do it well. I just don't think that he's going to be fully devoted for what Candace wants as her expectations of a manager. And him throwing in like, oh, well, let me just throw away everything I'm doing and you just give me an allowance. And I just sit here and just, you know, be on call for whatever you want, whatever you need, and just do whatever you want me to do, and everything's about you. That statement right there, they need to end this whole manager thing immediately, because if it causes this much frustration in both of them, your marriage, how is your marriage going to survive? Like, if he's over here talking about money and he's doing this for free, and, you know, let it go. Like, it's certain things I just feel like is not worth the risk of, you know, diminishing your relationship with somebody. If you get signs that you and your partner are now working together and things are like more negative, cut that off. Cut it off immediately and figure something else out. She's going to have to get her a real manager that has real experience, that can help her make more connections, that has the availability and wants to be there every step of the way for her, and whatever she's doing, studio time, music videos, whatever gigs she's getting, and pay them a percentage. That's it. You know, because if you're not paying your husband anything, but you want him to have the same outcomes and same amount of effort as somebody who's been a manager for artists for X amount of years and all this experience and the time and work that it takes to do it, just pay somebody who's going to do it right and do it to your expectation, who you can boss around and all that and go back and forth with. And that's it. Don't have that person be your husband. It's just not worth it. I understand, like, she's trying to get herself out there, so she wants to save money and she wants to focus on being the artist, but I don't think it's worth risking your marriage or a healthy marriage. It's just not worth it to me. Now, this part of the episode with Mia and her mom was so, like, refreshing to watch, because we got to learn more about Mia and, like, her mom at that table getting emotional, crying, and just openly sharing a very dark place in both of their lives. You know, the mom was talking about Mia's dad and how he introduced her to drugs. She almost committed suicide over the dad. Mia burned herself very badly as a very, very young girl, and the dad was downstairs with another woman cheating while it happened, while her mom was at work. And, you know, Mia didn't have a relationship with her mom. Her mom was in rehab. Like, it just was really, really bad. And it's just like, wow, Mia, you're strong. Dang, Mia, like, you've been through a lot. And that's why it was refreshing to see them start to build that relationship and that communication, and just say, you know, we should have talked about this a long time ago. A lot of parents, I feel like, they hide things from their kids, but they think they're protecting them, when really, like, I think you're just causing more damage by not having open communication to kind of help them understand why things happened the way they did, whether they agree with it or not. Like, your children need answers and closure and just understanding and comfort, and parents should be more open and stop hiding things, because hiding things makes it worse and it damages your relationship with your child. That's just my opinion. Now, the episode closed out at Robyn's birthday party, so they didn't invite Wendy and they did not invite Karen. Not surprised. So the group is kind of doing this whole thing again with kind of Xing out people. They did this with Monique in the last season or whatever, and they didn't want her certain things, and you know, so they're Xing out Wendy and Karen. And the other girls in the group aren't really fighting hard enough to keep the whole group together. So I think that this is going to be a little trend. And I think it's kind of corny that, you know, Giselle's kind of saying, well, I asked her, Wendy, to have a private conversation, but she didn't give me a private conversation, so I'm done. And it's just like, but you're the one that's wrong. Like, you're wrong. So, I don't know, what do you expect? Wendy to chase you? So, it's just kind of like, I'm kind of over them flipping the situation all the time, where it's like when they do something wrong and then they find a way to flip it on the other person, they gaslight the other person, and then, you know, now that other person is supposed to chase them and say sorry to them and all that stuff, or they just give a half behind apology and everything's supposed to be fine. You know, this friend group is really toxic. I could never. I guess Escala, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of Escala. She might be a housewife next season. I think I can see her being on the show more, but we'll see. Other than that, I'm just going to wrap this up. Well, Candace needs to get a manager. You know, she needs to fire her husband and get a manager. And, you know, Wendy just needs to really wake up and just realize that those girls were never her friends, and she needs to keep all her eyes open and watch her back, not share anything personal with any of these girls, and just keep it cute and keep it on mute when you're around them. Keep it real surface level, because they don't have your back. And you know, Miss Mia, you know, I liked Mia right off the gate, but I really don't want Mia to pick sides. I really want Mia to stay neutral and truly find out who she blends with, who she mixes with, instead of just kind of like doing the typical kissing Giselle and Robyn's behind. So we'll see what happens as the season goes on, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.